today's session where we are going to talk about designing of CRFs. So, CRF design is basically divided into components. We have the designing of CRF as well as drafting of the study design specifications. Both are parallel documents, one of which is going to design the display, which is going to be on the front end, as well as the other which is going to tell us how is it that the questions are getting placed. Is there any sort of function in between two questions present on the same CRF, and likewise. So interdependent questions as well are going to be a part of our documentation section. So let's get started and learn about designing of CRFs. Initially, in the contents section, what we have is the process of initiation, where we are going to learn about how the process of CRF design is initiated, with which we also have what is the visit schedule or the visit matrix, and obtaining access to the CDMS platform for assigned users, wherein while we are developing the CRFs, we are certainly going to need a CDMS platform, which is going to be the front end of our CRFs, and thereby for all the assigned users, let's say DM, the CRAs, and other users, we are going to be needing the access. So next step would be obtaining access. Further, preparing the study design specifications document for database design, and corresponding to the SDS, we will have the case report forms accordingly developed in line, and selection of the questions with their responses for each CRF. So this particular concept of selecting questions and thereby responses is also going to be helpful to us when we are designing or drafting our ECRF completion guidelines. Because based on what we are going to be capturing on the CRF are our guidelines as well going to be in line with. So with the content discussed, let's go forward and firstly talk about an introduction. How would the process of CRF design be initiated? So an LDM would initiate the process by creating a project plan, which is also called as the timelines document, in liaison with the DM project lead, as in the one who is having a more in-depth knowledge or more experience, who is the data management project lead. With them, the lead DM shall discuss and draft the timelines, and then that is circulated with the other study team members and the cross-functional departments. So we have our clinical team with whom we are going to discuss these, the cross-functional departments, as in the clinical data programmers, the medical coders, as well as database designers. Those are our cross-functional departments. So we are not just discussing it with the study team members, but also with the cross-functional departments. But because we want to have their involvement in the process of CRF design. So at various levels, we are going to be having requirements from different team members who would certainly want to contribute, and we would need their help in doing this. CRF creation is then started according to the visit matrix as defined in the DMP document. So while we designed the DMP, we took reference from the protocol, from which certainly we included the visit matrix here. And now from the DMP, we take the visit matrix to be as a part of the CRF creation process. Now, according to this, visit matrix or the schedule of procedure or assessments, this is also included in the CRF because that is going to be our primary reference with which we would include different CRFs at different visits across the EDC system or the CDMS platform. Now, with that said, the CRF should also have header, footer, the study title, and the sponsor's confidentiality statement. So, as we begin, the project plan or the timelines for which we are starting with CRF creation, there is going to be a requirement of all the study team members as well as the corresponding cross-functional departments. That is where you know we are going to follow a proper format which is going to have the CRF draft, or let's say a copy which is in the form of a template. So by using that template which has a specific header, footer, the confidentiality statement from the sponsor's name, sponsor's logo, and all such information, that is something which we are using as a template file for creating CRFs. So with that said, let's take what are the basic components of a CRF to be included. So there are basics as in the form of three C's or three basic components of the CRF, where the designing of the CRFs being clear, concise, and consistent are the principles we should be following. So as an aspect of CRF development, we would follow the three principles which are clear, concise, and consistent. As in, what details do we want to collect should be clear, in terms of the requirements mentioned on the CRF, right? So the CRF should be clear. Second is concise, to the mark, or up to mark, to the point, right? That is the meaning of how we would certainly mean being concise. And consistent is if there is a particular format or any such particular type of a question that is repeated or need to be collected at every visit. It has to be in the consistent form. Let's say if it is date, should always be DD triple M 4 times Y, or if it is MMDD 4 times Y, it is going to be the same across all the visits. So that's where we are, defining the three principles as clear, concise, and consistent. Elements of the CRF are the CRF casebook, the DCIs, and the DCM, each of which is a subset of the other. Let's say the CRF casebook is the collections of the case report forms would certainly define a CRF casebook, as in all the CRFs that are required for one particular patient throughout the study is something which you would define as a CRF casebook. So when we would certainly be combining all the CRFs which are arranged as per the clinically planned event, or as per the protocol visit schedule. That is how the CRF casebook would be designed. Now there is a definite question around this, be it in terms of the assessments or be it in terms of the interviews. How would you define a CRF casebook, right? So a CRF casebook is nothing else but the combination of all required CRFs across all visits for one particular patient in the study. Now, having that said, we consider a CRF or a DCI, which is data collection instrument, which is thereby a subset of the CRF casebook. So, what stands true is that DCI is the other name for a CRF, right? So, when we are combining these CRFs together, we are forming a CRF casebook, and thus DCI or a data collection instrument is an individual CRF, which is the subset of the casebook. And then going for the DCM, which is a section of the CRF, which is each question on the CRF would be representing a data collection module, which is collected as per the protocol requirement. So DCM is a subset of DCI, and DCI is a subset of the casebook. So this is another sequence which can be part of the questions. How is it that the casebook, DCM, and DCI are interrelated? So your answer first is about the subsets, that DCM is a subset of DCI. DCI in case is the subset of the casebook, because data collection module is one particular question on the CRF. When these questions are clubbed together, they form one data collection instrument, often referred to as a CRF, and multiple CRFs according to a visit matrix scheduled one after the other for one particular patient forms the casebook. So that's the catch here, to begin with the CRF design in terms of a question, then a group of questions forming one particular CRF, and CRF in turn, when arranged one after the other visit wise, is called as a case book.